here's my review of Frankenstein. And yes, if you can't tell, I'm a little sick. My voice is not the best. But hey, I gotta get a review out by today, so oh well. And as for this movie, I thought it was pretty good. Visually, I think it's pretty gorgeous, but there are times where it just looks like it just has that Netflix look. And obviously, this was budgeted by Netflix. Like, Guillermo del Toro made it, obviously. And visually, it's pretty gorgeous. But there's so many times in this movie where I'm just looking at it and, like, just the color grading is just, it's just kind of frustrating. But as for this movie, I mean, of course, you already know the story. Victor Frankenstein, a brilliant but egotistical scientist, tries to stop death and create life after death. And he creates a monster in the process. Yeah, like everyone knows the story. I will say, I think that all the performances here are so good. Oscar Isaac as Victor Frankenstein is just fantastic. He's so good in this movie, as are all the performances. And just seeing him, like, abandon his creature, like, once he's disgusted, once he just has that ego of, like, why can't it do basic things? Why is it not smart? Why is it not learning? And him just getting frustrated, and then he just tries to kill it. Like, he feels like he so quickly abandons what he worked so hard on. Like, he's such a fascinating character because he's so intelligent, but also so egotistical that you kind of hate him and you like him at the same time. And I will say, this movie did kind of give me Nosferatu vibes from last year with Frankenstein's brother's fiance almost like falling in love with the monster. And I will say that just kind of, I wouldn't want to say took me out, but it just like reminded me so much of Nosferatu from last year. It's like, it just like was like, wow, this is weird. It feels so familiar. And Mia Goth is fantastic as well, as she is in almost everything. And of course, Christoph Waltz, who plays Victor's benefactor, who funds him, who gives him the funds, gives him the building, all the resources he needs to create the monster. He's always great. He's not in it a whole lot, but Christoph Waltz, 2-time Academy Award winner, he's fantastic, as always. And as for the creation of the monster, like, I feel like it feels so grand when Victor goes out in the rain to put this rod to get the lightning. Like, just the whole creation of the creature, whether it was him building it, like dissecting the body parts, putting them together. There's a lot of gruesome imagery in this movie, as to be expected. I mean, you're talking about a guy building a corpse from disembodied bodies. And him just, like, there's so much, like, morbidity to this movie in terms of, like, there are scenes where Victor will he's going to places where people are being hung and inspecting the bodies before they're even hung. And it's just, he feels so, like, casual about it when we, the audience, are just, like, disgusted at how, like, terrifying it is. Like, when he just goes to the morgue looking at all these different bodies, he's like, oh, no, this one will not do. This one, I'll take this part of this one. It just, like, it feels so uncomfortable, yet so, like, engaging. You're like, it's just so twisted, yet you want to see him create it. And as for the creation itself, it feels so grand. It feels so big. Because at first it fails, and then he doesn't meet the monster until the next day. And I will say at that end, like, at first he kind of, like, he's so happy with what he's been able to do, but then he quickly gets mad because it's not smart. And that's just so fascinating, where how quickly he just abandons something. Where you have a guy who's so smart, who does what he's been working for, and he's like, oh, it didn't turn out the way I want, let me just burn it all to the ground, I don't care. And then he tries to kill the monster, and of course, I mean, you know the story, and then it wreaks havoc. And as for Jacob Elordi as the monster, he's fantastic. I mean, the guy's like 6'5" or something, he's so tall. He brings this presence to Frankenstein's monster that is, of course, needed for this movie. And he's so, in many ways, so sympathetic. Like, you feel so bad for him. There's a scene where he almost becomes friends with these families in the woods, like, who doesn't know what's going on. And, like, that whole scene was just beautiful. I loved that scene. And, like, the monster, like, I mean, the message of this story is very obvious. Of the movie, of the original story, only monsters play God. Who's the real monster? It's Victor, obviously. We know that. And there are sometimes, like, when they literally say, you're the monster, Victor. It feels like so like on the nose because like it's so obvious that it feels like for how prestigious this movie is, it feels weird that they had to spell that out to the audience. But one thing though, like I said, just the visuals, the winter aesthetic is just so gorgeous in this movie. I think, like I said, this might be my favorite shot in the whole movie. It just looks so terrifying, so just deathly cold. It just almost makes you cold looking at it. And him inspecting the bodies is just ghastly. It's a very beautiful looking film. And like I keep saying, like this movie kind of gave me Nosferatu vibes with Elizabeth falling in love with the monster. So it's like kind of retreaded some things, but I thought it was. I mean, obviously this book was written over 100 years ago, but like it felt familiar to me because it just kind of made me think of Nosferatu from last year. But Mia Goth was so good. I mean, it doesn't matter. But really, like my favorite parts of this movie were just seeing like the monster be so human when he helps the old man, when he befriends him, and then when he sees the old man getting attacked, he's just how terrified, how sad he is that he made a friend and it's gone. It's so profound. I thought like that part was just gorgeous. Like this whole scene of the monster in the woods with the family is just beautiful. I loved it. I will say, like the ending of this movie. Well, I mean, technically, this movie is in medias res, where it actually starts at the end of the movie. The beginning of the movie starts at the end, and then when we finally get to the end, like when Victor is in the Arctic, and the monster tracks him down, it feels so poetic, though. Like it feels so grand, when Victor just it just kind of shows like when he had just abandoned his creature, his creation, he led himself to his own downfall in many ways, which I thought it was just done very well. I think when he finally interacts with the monster, like at this point in the movie, it just feels so profound. Like I said, just the twisted love story between the monster and Elizabeth. It's almost sickening, but so engaging. It was very good. So yeah, I don't really want to dwell too much longer because, like I said, there's not as much to say outside of just what I already said, because a lot of people know the basic story. I wouldn't really say that this movie blew me away like maybe it did for other people. This isn't my favorite movie of the year, but I'd probably put it in my top 10. I don't know yet, but overall, it's still a very, very good movie in my opinion.